Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, it's admittedly pretty refreshing when let's admittedly tired genre gets spun on its ear with a fresh take and given to audiences in a familiar but completely different way. And guess what? If you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast, where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals, and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more, in a light and in a conversational fashion. And you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because quite frankly, you're listening right now. You're listening to the podcast, and I appreciate you for it. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Give us the old 5-star rating at your podcast provider of choice. We're available at places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel, so if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, you know darn well we would appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on the social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Letterboxd, the TikTok, and, well, probably a few other places too. At In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca, for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it even more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So do us that kindness and pay us a visit. On this episode, we got a fun one. It is a movie that is coming out in limited theatrical release for our friends in the States, but also coming out on digital and on-demand platforms pretty much everywhere. It's called The Re-Education of Molly Singer, and it is it's a comedy. It's a college comedy. It's a coming-of-age comedy. But the roles are reversed a little bit. To save her job, a young lawyer must go undercover, enrolling as a freshman at her old alma mater in order to resuscitate the well-being of her boss's terribly awkward teenage son. This is a healthy gender genre reversal, and allowing sort of the roles to get flipped and reversed, and it works surprisingly well. And I mean, it hits all the beats that you expect, but it also allows for a lot of character development and lets us actually give a damn about these people rather than just going from bit to bit trying to generate laughs. It makes us laugh, but it also makes us care, and it's actually a pretty darn good movie. And in advance of it coming out this Friday, like I said, in limited theatrical, but also on video on demand platforms everywhere, we had the unique pleasure of sitting down talking with the director Andy Palmer about just getting it all made and the process therein. But if you're in the mood for something a little different, go check out The Re-Education of Molly Singer. It's fun, but it flips the script all at the same time on something that we've seen a lot of times before. But first, enjoy our talk with Andy, because it's a good one. I think this guy's going to go somewhere, and this is a good movie. Go check it out. All right, well, Andy, obviously, man, first off, just thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate this.
David, I appreciate it, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I mean, congrats on the movie, man. I thought it was great.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you dug it.
No, I mean, my first question is, like, walk me through sort of the origin of, like, getting the script and being involved in this project.
Yeah. So I was editing a film called Collection, and the writer-producer Todd Friedman and I kind of hit it off during that. He was producing with the guy that produces all my movies, Warner Davis, and so we were down in Alabama and, you know, editing away and stuff like that. And he asked me, he knew that I had also directed some films. He asked me what I wanted to do next. And I said, I really want to do a comedy. I love comedy. That's my genre. I, up till then, had done a lot of, like, horror movies and horror comedies, but I really wanted to do, like, you know, my love letter to 80s and 90s comedies. And he's like, I have one of those. And so he sent me the script, and originally it was called the Re-Education of David Singer. So it was kind of a male-driven comedy, and it was very funny. Same premise. But it felt like a little bit more like American Pie, like road trip. It had that sort of like 90s humor and stuff like that. And so I pitched him and the other writer Kevin on. I was like, what if we kind of freshen this up? I was like, let's make it a female lead. We've never seen like a female Van Wilder. Like that would be really fun. And then we'll kind of modernize the humor and stuff like that. Make it feel like I think there's been like a seismic change in the way that like youth are and stuff like that. And I was like, let's tap into that sort of awkwardness of Molly going back to school and thinking she's going to rule campus again, but not sort of fitting in the realm that she thinks she is, And so we just went to town and rewrote the script, and then we started submitting to actors, and it was really quick. Like Britt was like, I think one of the second people we sent the script to. She really liked it, and then once she was on board, excitement grew, and that was it. It was a snowball.
Well, I mean, I love that because it's one of those things. I was struck when I was watching it. It was like, okay, it's hitting all the trademark beats of the college comedy,
yeah,
but it's allowing so much more room for character and for just sort of development there. I got to imagine it was just a godsend to get someone like Britt to sort of be there, because she is such an anchor for the entire piece.
Yeah, and it's like it was such a tricky role. I was going back and forth with with Warner, and it's so funny because Warner and we're best friends, but we are like that. We're so dynamically different in realm of like my motivation is so creatively driven and story driven and stuff like that, and because he's a producer, his motivation is I have to go and sell this movie at some point. And so there's conflict and stuff like that, but we communicate really well. And there were so many names getting thrown out and stuff like that. And I was like, you need someone like this. Like, this is a tricky character because she's the audience in this movie. She's the one that's taking us on this journey. And if she's big and broad and over the top, and all these other characters are big and broad and over the top, then it gets super hammy and it doesn't feel real and the characters don't feel real. And I was like, you need somebody that's like they're just like, they're needle pricks of humor where it's like she's playing everything straight, but she has these really great lines, but she tempers everybody down, and Britt is brilliant for being able to handle that, and also being able to like break down my stupid word set. Like, there's so many like long, if there's a long speech in the movie, that's probably one that I wrote because I'm just a big wordy word man, and Britt was never afraid to be like, I want to take this out or something like that. She would break it down beat by beat and just nail it,
No, for sure, man. And everyone plays off her so well, from Ty, from Nico. And they even had to do a double take. I'm like, oh my God, is that Jonathan Lipnicki? And I'm like, yep.
That's it. Yes, that is Lipnicki. It is, man. It is. He is such a cool guy, man. He was, I wanted him on set. I think he was only on set with us for like 2 days, and I could have done 10 more. He was so nice, so cool. And he just he owns Sully, man. He was just hysterical.
And particularly, I love the dynamic between Britt and Ty and Britt and Nico. Did that take a long time to sort of develop, or was that just a question of finding the right people as you were reading it all?
Yeah, when we were rewriting the script, I said, I was like, her best friend needs to be like this kind of this fun ride or die, but really different. I was like a Nico Santos type. Like I just said that name because I love Nico on Superstore, and then his rep submitted, and so I was adamant that we had to go after him. And then we only met like a week before, like we all met for the first time a week before the film, because it's just Britt had come directly off a film. It was COVID, so everybody was trying to be very careful about traveling and being around in public places and stuff like that. And so we met a week before the film, but we sat in the hotel and we did the first read through the script, and it was like these guys had been best friends for forever. And I think it's a testament not only to their skill level, but also the fact that they're just great people. And they were like, oh, you're a good person, I'm a good person, we should hang out and do this thing together. And they were so good.
How important was it for you, especially with reading this story initially and sort of getting the idea down, to have those moments where the characters have time to develop and to breathe? Because again, I can imagine there may have been pressure on you to be like, no, cut this, make it a bit more zippy, make it more boom, 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 boom. But what I appreciated with this is we actually had time to let the characters grow and not just be sort of those archetypal college comedy characters.
Yeah. It's really weird how, because I've been like addicted to Tubi lately, and I would never really paid attention to Tubi as much, but they have the library of films on there is incredible. And so I've been watching 70s, 80s, like these sort of oddball movies and stuff like that. But the one thing you really saw is that even if it was bad or good, they took time to introduce you to these characters. There was time. And movies now, there's so much pressure from distributors and stuff like that because they call it like second screen, right? Everybody watches the movie while they're on their phone or something like that.
Right.
So there's this pressure put on you to just hit people right off the bat. Like the plot must be developed in 2 seconds and we must be, it's like everything has to be like swept in immediately, and it never gives you time to develop your characters. It's like your act 1 is 9 seconds long, and then it's like, and then you're kind of thrust into this weird act 2 where you don't even know who these folks are. And so, yeah, it was really important to me that you had to fall for these people. You want to hang out with these guys. And so I sort of did that fun, flashy intro with Molly, be like, okay, here's who she is. And then we can take some time to like figure out, who she is now, and I'm glad that it came through for you. Cause yeah, it's incredibly important. You have to want to go on the journey with these people and not just be like thrust on an airplane with them in in the middle seat. Right.
No, totally, man. And I'm glad you brought up Tubi, man. That service is completely underrated just with the stuff that's on there. It's insane.
I've been watching all the old Corman stuff, like all the New World Picture stuff, like all these just movies, like kind of oddball movies, and you see who like, directed or produced or like, I mean, it's just like, what a time to be alive in the 70s and 80s making movies.
Well, and I mean that begs the next question, because again, this felt very old school. And I mean, I don't want to say old school, like 80s, 70s, sort of giving us room to breathe. And I mean, for you as a storyteller, what is the kind of stuff that you're drawn to? Is it that where you're allowed to give characters like moments to breathe as opposed to sort of making that, that neat and tidy 85-minute comedy package?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. It's just like that's where my heart is. Those movies are where my heart is, and I think people will fall in love with them if given the opportunity to see them again, And so it's like, yeah, I came up like, when I really got into film, the guys that I looked up to were Linklater and Edward Burns. I'm a big Edward Burns fan. Like I watch all his movies all the time. Yeah, my dream is to go, make my Brothers McMullen or She's the One or something like that, and those movies are literally just people sitting around talking about life and stuff like that, but they're just handled in such a way that I just, again, you want to be hanging out with them,
No, totally, man. It's one of those things where it feels like we've lost the ability to sort of let moments sit and breathe and have, like really appreciate them. And I mean, I think you guys really do that with this film, and particularly with Britt's performance, because again, I mean, even like you said, we've never seen sort of the female perspective of this, and to get that was such a great take, at least for me, because again, it could be very easy to lose a comedy, especially like a college coming of age comedy, in sort of the shuffle of content that's out there. But I mean, honestly, I think this has a real chance to kind of stand out and get noticed. I think you've done a real fantastic piece of work here.
Oh, thank you, man. I really, really appreciate that. That means the world. Yeah, I think it was looking at things that okay, what are these certain, elements and tropes that we have to hit, and what do we like rail against? And one of the things in the David Singer script, David meets like his old flame, and she's like teaching at the college. Yeah. And so when we started writing that for a female protagonist, I was like, I don't think that this means as much as it does on the opposite side. And I was like, and we also have this really sweet love story between Elliot and Lindsay. Why throw in another love story? Like then we're just hitting two of the same beats and stuff like that. And like Molly's journey is like this journey of self-discovery, of being like, who the hell am I? And what, and her thing is like, Molly brings joy to everybody that she's around, and she's stuck in a job where she's only hangs out with people at their worst. And it's like, yeah, of course that's not your life, because you only bring fun around you, and you're stuck in a job where you are only around people that are not having fun, And so it's like, it's just about like going after the things that you're good at,
No, totally.
Chasing the things that you're naturally good at,
Well, and I mean, you know what, man? As much as I hope that this movie brings joy to people, when it comes out in theaters and, eventual various other releases, man, between you and me, I hope in about 30 years someone discovers this on Tubi and goes, man, The Re-Education of Molly Singer, that's a really good fucking
That's
movie.
what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. I hope there's some podcaster who made his movies like, I watched Re-Educated Monster, made me want to be a filmmaker, like, oh my God. That's like the biggest dream, biggest compliment I could ever have.
Well, Andy, man, keep up the good work. I mean, again, thanks for the time today. Congrats on the film.
Hey, thanks, brother. I really, really appreciate it, man.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.